So get this, we found this Linux security guide from way back in 2008. I mean, that's practically an ancient scroll in internet years. But what's absolutely fascinating is that its core lessons, its ideas on how to defend your digital castle, are maybe even more relevant today than they were back then. Let's see what kind of timeless wisdom it's hiding.
Right off the bat, this quote from the guide just nails a timeless human flaw, doesn't it? We are so often reactive. We treat security like a fire extinguisher that we only start looking for after the fire has already started. This whole explainer is about flipping that script. It's about being proactive and building your defenses before the attack ever comes.
And just so we're all on the same page, this is not a new problem. I mean, look at this. These are landmark cyber attacks from decades ago. Crackers stealing millions of dollars from banks, hijacking actual satellites, and knocking huge sites like Yahoo and Amazon completely offline. The battle to secure our digital world, yeah, it's been raging for a very, very long time.
So, what's the first step in defending any castle? Well, you have to understand who might attack it, right? Let's get our terminology straight, because knowing the motivations of your adversary, that's half the battle right there.
You know, one of the first things that really stood out in this old guide is how precise it is with its language. Today, we kind of use the word hacker as a catch-all for any cybercriminal, but the guide makes a really crucial distinction, using the original term cracker, someone who breaks into systems specifically with malicious or criminal intent.
And this slide lays it all out pretty clearly. The term hacker, when it started at MIT, was actually a badge of honor. It was for someone who just loved to understand how systems worked. Their goal was knowledge. A cracker's goal, on the other hand, is to cause harm, to steal, to break things. The guide even mentions gray hat hackers, people who might break in unethically, but they don't actually steal anything. It really all boils down to intent.
Okay, so we know the enemy. Now, let's forge our armor. Building a strong defense isn't about learning a few random tricks. It's about a solid foundation, and that foundation is built on 3 core pillars.
And here it is, the CIA Triad. Now, we're not talking about the spy agency here. This stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It's the absolute gold standard for information security. Basically, you have to ask 3 questions. Are you keeping secret secret? Is your data accurate and can you trust it? And can the right people actually get to it when they need to? Every single security measure you take should be serving one of these 3 goals.
So building on that foundation, our defenses, or controls, come in 3 distinct flavors. You've got physical controls. Those are the literal walls, the locks, the guards for your castle. Then you have technical controls. Those are your digital traps and alarms like encryption. And finally, administrative controls, which are the rules and procedures for your people, like security training and disaster recovery plans. You absolutely need all 3 for a truly layered defense.
Okay, so how do you make all this practical? Well, here's a timeless tip from the guide for creating a strong password. You know, the key to your castle's most important doors. Instead of trying to remember one complicated word, you create an acronym from a long, memorable phrase. This method is still fantastic today because it easily gives you the length and complexity you need to beat modern password cracking attacks, but it's still something a human can actually remember.
And check out this retro interface. I love it. This really illustrates another key concept, password aging. Forcing a password change every 90 days or so, it's just like changing the locks on your castle. So even if an attacker manages to steal a key, it becomes totally useless after a short period of time, which severely limits the damage they can do.
Here's another gem. This old-school menu for turning services on or off, it perfectly demonstrates a core modern security concept, reducing your attack surface. See, every single service running on your machine is a potential door into your castle. If you don't need a door, you lock it. Or even better, you brick it up completely by disabling the service altogether.
All right, but just building walls and waiting isn't enough. A passive defense is a losing defense. To truly secure our castle, we can't just wait for an attack. We have to go on the counteroffensive and actively hunt for our own weaknesses.
And this is where the philosophy really shifts from passive defense to active hunting. You have to, so to speak, put on the black hat yourself. By thinking like a cracker and probing your own systems, you find the weaknesses before they do.
Now, the guide mentions several tools for this that are, believe it or not, still industry standards today. You've got Nmap, which is like a guard patrolling your castle walls, scanning to see which digital doors and windows or ports are open to the internet.
Then Nessus goes deeper. It's like a building inspector checking those open doors for thousands of known weaknesses. And Nikto, that focuses on your web applications, checking for secret passages and hidden flaws in the code.
And all this brings us to the final, and maybe the most important lesson from this old guide. And honestly, it's a tough one. The work of defending your castle is never, ever finished.
Think about it. Attackers are constantly coming up with new ways to get in, and new vulnerabilities are discovered in software every single day. That's why you can't just build a fortress and walk away. Security requires constant vigilance, patching, updating, and adapting to new threats. It's a process, not a product.
And because no defense is perfect, you need a plan for when an attacker does manage to get through. That is your incident response plan. It's the fire drill that defines everything, from how you detect a breach to how you investigate it, and, critically, how you recover from a clean backup. Having this all defined before a crisis hits is the difference between a controlled recovery and just total chaos. And the demand is just relentless. We expect our digital lives to be on, to be available 24/7. Well, that means our defenses have to be vigilant 24/7 too. The watch never, ever ends because the threats never, ever sleep.
So, these lessons from back in 2008, they are more relevant than ever. From understanding your enemy to building layered defenses and maintaining that constant, unending watch. It all leads to one final question I have for you. Your digital life is a fortress. Who's watching the walls?